Slimy scammers seeking 6 billion smackaroos, or rather 29 million shares of Tesla. The law gets kind of weird sometimes, so that's why I brought in Randy Kirk, who has a law degree, to help us make sense of the madness. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza.
It is important, Brian, to stipulate that the degree was earned, I don't know, 49 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I never practiced a day, never took the bar,
Mm-hmm.
but it was from a prestigious university, or what used to be a prestigious university, UCLA.
Well, it's also, important notice to also note that you primarily studied it in cuneiform and dealt with the law cases you studied had to do with that guy in was it Sumeria, who was a famous copper supplier who sold bad copper. There's a famous story about that. There's like ancient tablets about how awful of a vendor this guy was. That's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
We're here to talk about lawyers seeking $6 billion in Tesla stock after getting Musk's pay package. Smack it down, the fee would be a record-shattering amount. And they're saying, hey, man, we saved you $56 billion, so just give us 6, while ignoring the fact that it wasn't $56 billion. It's paper, and that paper was only accounted for to the tune of $2.3 billion because they accounted it when it was much, much lower. So it's already cleared the books. This dilution that would result from Elon Musk performing according to his 2017-2018 compensation plan has already been considered. This just lays bare the fact that these guys are not acting in good faith. What's your take on it?
Well, let's see. About a week ago or a few days ago, I put out a video and I called them immoral, unethical, and stupid. Now,
And
I don't
why
know
stupid?
if it get me sued. Did I calling them stupid get me sued? I used the S word after all.
Yes, you could get sued for $56 billion.
Oh no! Oh
So
no!
why is it stupid?
Well, I think that they put themselves out as looking avaricious. There's a word. I didn't learn that one in law school, so I didn't have to learn how to pronounce it. Avaricious. They made themselves look like other things, immoral and unethical, to be asking for such a phenomenally ridiculous number. And I say immoral because they're basically stealing it from Tesla stockholders. Unethical because the ethics are determined by the profession that you're in, and the ethics in this profession, you can say, well, 10% is normal. No, 10% is a useful way of measuring in certain cases. But when you get into these kind of numbers, why would this case be worth 10 times the last highest amount that's ever been paid out on another class action?
Worth noting, the 56 billion was not paid. It wasn't even paid. It's money that didn't exist. It's shares that still to this day do not yet exist. And you're saying that this $6 billion judgment would help shareholders when shareholders are just going to turn around and grant it again if this is upheld, because even though a lot of today's shareholders are not the same shareholders from before, there's a lot of them that feel, yeah, he earned it. Now, institutionals might feel differently. They might say this is a good chance to negotiate. Do you really want to open that door? I don't know. And this has already been accounted for. The big difference is if you want to help the company, Tesla, if Elon is allowed to exercise these shares, Tesla will receive money from Elon directly to purchase those shares at what was then the fair market value of the shares.
Right.
So Tesla would get an influx of cash. Anything that goes out to the lawyers, there's no influx of cash. They didn't request options. They requested free stocks. Yeah, free stocks. So it makes it, and I agree with you that it may be stupid in that the judge could look at it and say, this is not a serious offer I'm just going to throw it out completely. And I get it. It's the opening volley. A lot of people are looking at this and saying, how dare that judge? Judge hasn't ruled on this yet. This is the opening volley. They've got an opportunity to discuss it. But there have been times when I go into a market where haggling is expected and
Yeah.
I say, how much is this thing? And they say, oh, that's $20 US. And I say, okay, never mind. No, you say how much, buddy. This is a $1 item. You started way too high.
Way too high.
Way too high. I don't have time for this. I get it. It's a fun game. You got to keep it reasonable. So the number I saw said that this would come out to something like $280,000 an hour.
An hour. Yes. Right. No, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous on its face. And that's another legal phrase that's, commonly used. It's on its face ridiculous. I also wonder, in terms of being stupid, whether the appeals court will take this into consideration in how they analyze the rest of the decision with, the overall decision, because here the lawyers are saying they deserve 8, 9, 10%, when they're saying that Elon didn't deserve 6% of something that he actually contributed his brain power over a period of years to make happen, where these guys were only claiming that they're trying to help the stockholders, and yet everything that they've done is hurting the stockholders.
And 6 billion would be over 10% of 56 billion.
Yes.
And here we found $305,000 per hour is what it is. And then they had the audacity to add, Delaware seeks to incentivize, not punish, effective litigation. This is not about this is greed. This is pure greed. So a possible outcome, something that could be done. Alexandra Mertz, Tesla Boomer Mama, said, we need to each and every one of us to send tens of thousands of letters to Judge McCormick before she statutes on the plaintiff attorney's fees. Time is of the essence. Do you think a letter writing campaign generating hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of letters would be effective? Would it do anything other than annoy the judge?
Yeah. So I thought about the annoying part, and I thought, at the end of the day, I'm going to give her some credence, even though it's really hard to give her any credibility at all. I mean, really it is. I mean, okay. I do have to go back to this really quick on the underlying case. She said she could not determine what was fair.
Okay.
As soon as she says that, she disqualifies herself as a judge.
Okay.
The whole idea of a case in equity, or a case, even a case in law, is you're trying to determine what is fair. She says, well, I know this isn't fair, but I have no idea what is fair. If she had determined what was fair, if she'd said, no, look, this is 10 times too much, and it should have been, 10% of the number, and I'm willing, and we'll wrap it up at 10%. Who knows what might have happened with regard to the Tesla and Elon in that regard, or 50% or 30%, but at least it would have set out a number that people could wrap their arms around in terms of even the value of this request for the attorney's fees. If she said it was fair at 33% of the number, then you could set that as what he's claiming he was saving the shareholders. But she couldn't set up a number of what was fair.
Well, I'll tell you what's fair. It was 9 shares. They were worth about $12 a share. I think, why don't we just call it an even $100? I'll write the check myself.
Right.
We'll call it even. I think these attorneys, the plaintiff's attorneys, are playing a dangerous game, because I believe, from people that I've seen, from lawyers I've seen discussing this case, that the odds of it being overturned on appeal are extraordinarily high. And if they want those 19,000 hours billable to be worth nothing, by all means, please proceed. Yeah, it's a dangerous game. And I'd be, I don't know what the right number is. And my concern is that when you're starting that high, that you're going to that there's just no room for negotiating in good faith.
I think if you go just again to the ethical part of it, I can't say that this is grounds for disbarment, but it is so unethical to contemplate. We just had in the real estate world, you may be aware, that there's a 6% is the common fee for selling a property, which is split between the seller and the buyer, the seller and buyer's agents. Well, that has been around for, I don't know, decades and decades and decades. There are realtors out there that'll do it for 5. There are realtors that'll do it for 3. There are realtors, and if the number gets higher, you're talking about a $5 million home or a $10 million home, the realtor is that much more likely, the agent is that much more likely to lower their fee because it's crazy. It gets to be a crazy number. Well, that's what we've got going on right here. And the Supreme, I think it was the Supreme Court, anyway, a court has decided just last year that even the 6%, because it is so widely used, is not fair. It's not ethical. It is something that needs to be. It's not a competitive. It's not a what do you call it? It is anyway unfair. We'll just go with unfair.
Egregious.
Egregious in the current market. That it's a standard. Well, now we've got somebody taking the standard and applying it to the $10 million home and saying, I want all of it. And not only that, I want a judge to agree to it. This is not a negotiated number with the individual. This is a judge, the government saying that I should get an egregious amount on a very high number.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, the judge has not yet made a determination on what the payout should be. I think assessing the damages are impossible. I think the damages are none. There have been no damages.
No damages at all. Yep.
No damages at all. And I think it should be based on a percentage of no damages. Or,
Right.
like I said, you know what? I'm nothing if not generous, Randy. I believe we should give back that $100. Call it a day. You know what? I'll make it 120 because you got to leave a tip. So if you wish to participate in this, I have left this for the last quite a few minutes, the address up here. I will put a link in the description to this post by Alexandra Mertz, Tesla Boomer Mama. She is an absolute gem, and I appreciate her unusual dedication, giving so much of her time and energy to this community.
Yes.
I also appreciate you giving time to the community, but, not as much, I guess.
It's okay. It's okay, Brian. It's okay. I will still appreciate you giving so much of your time and energy to the community as well. I think
I log a lot of hours. I go a lot of places. In the next
do?
couple of weeks, I'm going to Fremont. I finally get a factory tour. No cameras allowed. Son of a. And then after that, I'm going to be in Austria in May for the X Takeover. I'm going to be in Michigan for their big event in June. In July, I'm going to be at the X Takeover in California. And there could be additional stops along the way. On the 10th, I'm going to Bellevue Square for a Tesla Owners Club of Washington private event where I get to once again sit inside the Cybertruck. But really, I'm going because Brighter with Herbert will be there, and we're going to have dinner beforehand and hang out.
Nice.
So,
excellent.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. In the comments, what I'd like to know is what is the fair remedy to this case? What should the actual number or resolution be? You must tell us. Everyone else, like, subscribe, do the usual things. Maybe check out the old Randy Kirk channel there. Got it right that time. And for everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual. You know what you're doing. And stay tuned, stay juicy. And for the one guy who despises when I say it, do stay juicy. And if you don't like that, I know I've said this before, but perhaps just you could stay moist. And I can't wait to catch you clever robots on the flippity flop.